Hello and welcome to the Paulhammer podcast. I'm your host, Bricky. This is my co-host, Paul.
How's it going?
You got a fantastic opening. We really worked this one out properly. Hey,
yeah.
Paul, how's it going?
Hey, yeah, not bad. Saying "Hey, Paul" like that, I still got a bit of trauma from being attacked with an axe, but doing all right otherwise. How about yourself?
I mean, you are a fan of Huey Lewis in the News, are you not? Hey, Paul. I mean that I was pretty happy with that merch ad. I thought it was pretty good.
It was when you sent that over, I was like, this is very it's fantastic. So it was fun to do as well.
I mean, now that I'm here, should we do a quick merch plug, considering that I'm here on the episode?
Yeah, sure. Buy merch now. Go, do it. Buy merch. Or Bricky will get you.
Yeah, I'll take a flight all the way over to the UK, and I'll find some way to fight.
Yeah,
we'll get a game. You know what? We'll get a game going, and then I'm going to specifically mortal wound bomb your Centurions.
Hell yeah! You got to do a lot more wounds to get through them. 4 wounds each. It's a lot to chew through.
I mean, it doesn't help custodians, and I don't know how much it's going to help you. Those Alaris Terminators, the biggest thing they fear is the keyword grenades.
Yeah.
But thanks for inviting me on, man. I appreciate it. Buy the merch, link in the description, I'm sure, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we
do Paul's merch. Get some objective markers. Get some funny tees. Get a body pillow if you like.
People keep saying you have a body pillow of yourself. And I'm like, yeah, of course I do. Like, it's the most normal thing. The objective markers are when I took them to the last one I went to, they were very popular. People like those. Very funny. And the best part about them is because they are silly, people take the game less seriously, and then I can bring them down to my level and beat them because I have experience as Clown Fiestas. So it's a lot easier for me to win my games because the objective markers bring people's mental capacity down to my level. I beat them with experience.
See, normally, we down here in SoCal, we just offer to buy them a margarita, and then we go to the thing and we both just get a drink or some kind of thing like that. The last guy I fought was just giving me a bunch of single shots of like Jameson and stuff. And I was like, brother, this is game 5, man. You can't be doing this right now.
I mean, at least it's the game 5. At least he wasn't, game 1. He thought, I'll get him drunk game 1, and then the next 2 opponents will have an easier time.
It's absolutely hysterical though, the way a lot of the folks down by me, and I think this kind of thing we could talk about later is how regional certain things change when it comes to how tournaments are played. But down here, it's a very relaxed scene, and the amount of people who go just to slam alcohol from 9 a.m. in the morning until the evening is very high.
I guess that's one way to get out of the house and get an excuse to do it.
Yeah, I mean, most people assume to think that Warhammer is. A lot of people assume that tournaments are of the sweatiest of sweaties, and there are sweaties, but most of them are, late 30s guys with a wife and kids, and the wife has the kids for the weekend, and they get to play Warhammer at a tournament. Like it's pretty classic dad gaming, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think even the things that people will consider sweaty, like the really good players, are generally also just super nice anyway, because they're still there to have a good time and they're there to teach you stuff. Even like some of the people I've played against who are actually really good high ranking players, they're not trying to nickel and dime you or gotcha you for everything. They're very fair. Not much drinking in our area because we are the place that we normally play is directly opposite a nursery, so, and there's no bar, which makes it a little bit more I guess more, well, I say calmer. It's not calm. It's still a room full of a lot of people trying to communicate funny numbers on
over top of
rocks,
each other.
Over the top of each other, yeah. It gets loud, but it's not rowdy or anything.
I mean, when it comes to the people that I tend to meet, it's funny. I almost never have a bad game against the guy who goes 1-5. I almost never have a bad game against the guy who goes 5-1. I tend to have a tough game, if I ever do, against the 3-3s or the 4-2s, the people who tend to think they're better than they are, and get very upset by that. It's something I've noticed actually quite commonly.
Yeah, I don't have as much experience. I've only been to one big 2-day event. I've been to a lot of like a smaller 2-day event and a lot of 1-day events. I've never had any problem with any opponent. I think the thing with that, I've and something I talk about and think about quite a lot is the fact that people talk about this with Warhammer, but it's not a Warhammer exclusive thing, right? Like if you think about video games, who's the person who's usually the one crying and moaning? It's usually the person who thinks they should be in Diamond when they're in Platinum, or the person who thinks they should be better than they are, and they are looking for somewhere out to complain about that, right? So those are the kind of that's the people who are actually good, know they're good and they're there to have a good time. People who don't care and are doing the 1-5 are just there to have a good time and they're just a laugh. And then there's those people who think they're better than they are and aren't thinking, they aren't taking the blame they aren't taking their own mistakes. They're outwardly complaining about stuff, right?
Right. And I think that's actually it's a very good way to put it. When I was out in visiting the Art of War guys for the big video I'm working on currently, one of the ones that I was really kind of talking about or the phrase they used was mid-table heroes, which I think is very funny of a phrase and a very good one. And you're absolutely right. I feel like a lot of the games, I have a long history with League of Legends. And in the dark days, the bronze was whatever. It was Elo hell, sure, but most people just didn't care. Silver was rough. Platinum was rough. Gold was pretty good.
Yeah,
and then Diamond Plus tend to also be pretty good.
Yeah, I was I was also young once and played League of Legends, and I was definitely whenever I didn't play ranked much, just because playing ranked on your own is like trying to just put knives in your eyes. It's kind of pointless and no one's having fun. But whenever I did, I'd basically get to gold and then stop. I mean, like, okay, I've got the reward you get for gold or whatever. Get out of silver. But it is that kind of silver one getting into gold promotion is the most just. Never has there been a place with a hive of scum and villainy or whatever.
Scum and villainy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most isolated tattooing. I got what you're getting at.
Yeah. I guess it's different, I suppose, with, again, because I've not had any problems with people, but because there is no ranking, and it is just kind of the, your whatever your end, 3 and 2 or 3 and 3 or whatever. It is weird that, people still have that kind of mentality. You think that getting 3 wins is, that's decent. But again, I guess people who think they want to be top of the pile will get upset if they're not top of the pile, right? Even if to get to the top of the pile, they need to change something fairly fundamental, which they aren't doing.
Yeah, and also there's also just too much variance. I think it's one of the reasons why you have the same issue when it comes to a lot of team games is that you don't get control over your teammates, and therefore you have a lot of more reason to blame. In Warhammer, especially playing in any kind of competitive environment, which the game is just in a sense not really suited for. There's too much variance. I mean, for example, I recently went to a tournament, the Palm Springs Open down in California, and this was the heyday before the patch of Knights and Death Garb. Now, luckily for us, this kind of like regionally, things are a little different depending on where you're from. But down here, meta chasing isn't super big. I think in that tournament is 140 people.
Oh, wow.
And the amount of Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, and Death Guard only made up like 11% of the roster.
All right.
All 3 of those armies together. It was a very small amount. But sometimes you will just walk up to the table, see the opponent's list, and be like, oh, okay, I guess we're not making this one. And I think that was what I noticed when I fought not a Death Guard. No, it was the Thousand Suns player. I lost to a Thousand Suns player, only by about 3 points, but he ended up getting second place in the event.
Yeah.
And I saw it. I saw my list. I saw his screening options. I saw those damned Zangors on disc with those bows and their reactive move and everything. And I thought to myself, I don't know about that one. I don't know if Host of Ascension is handling this one. And for me, it didn't, and I lost by a bit. But sometimes you're just gonna run up with a skew list. You yourself know that plenty well.
Oh yes.
And then sometimes the opponent will just have a list that is like, damn, this list is really good at killing 4-wound tough elite infantry.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. The other option for me is, they can run at me really fast and just lock me up. The problem is I realize I am the skew list, which is really unfortunate because I've played a few games where, because it's such a weird list, and I just look at the opponent and go, yeah, you don't have any ways to stop by Centurions, and they're just going to be able to teleport around, and there's nothing you can really do about it, which is kind of against slower armies that don't have anything that could really tank it. It is just a case of wherever you move, I will either then block you with some jump packs and then just teleport my Centurions, or you try and move out, I can just walk my Centurions into wherever I need them, and you just don't have the firepower to then kill the Centurions back. Or they just have a list which goes, oh, we will just not care about the Centurions, we will shut them down, and then just eat the rest of your army, and then you're done. It's very much even my list is very much goes one way or the other, and like you say, yeah, sometimes you just see the meta list and you just go, oh, that's very unfortunate. I played the South Coast Super Major against Ben Jones when more Dakar Orcs were running Riot with their sustained hits 2 on everything, which basically made Orcs hit on 3s mathematically, but it's even worse. And yeah, I got absolutely stomped by that. It was, again, one of those lists you just look at and just go, yeah, that game's not a winnable one, so let's just go and do something fun. And it still was a good game. I think the meta stuff is interesting because, and with the variants as well, because even if there is a lot of variance, because obviously it is a dice game, right? I'm sure we both have lots and lots of stories about where the dice have completely just demolished our plans, or I mean,
all the time.
Yeah. In fact, I played a 1-day thing on the Sunday just gone. I rolled Overwatch against someone with my Devastate Centurions. He happened to be standing on objective, so I get full hit rerolls. I hit all 6 of my last cannons in Overwatch, and he basically halved his big like key unit. I just halved it in Overwatch on his turn. Just completely changed the game from that point on. And it's one of those things, you just look at the tray with 6 6s in it. You go, yeah, sorry about that. What are you gonna do?
Sometimes that just occurs that way. I remember like moving up. I forgot what it was. I think I was maybe playing. I forget what it was, but whatever I had like sustained hits too. I think it was a 10-man squad of Immortals.
Oh right. Was it with
with a Tesla
stuff, and then you have the character that makes it crit on some. There's something like that.
Something like that. But the crit didn't matter because it was an Overwatch, similarly to you.
Yeah.
But I was just, I had that going there, and then I sent them, they sent them forward. I Overwatched them. They were like, they knew they had sustained hits too, so they knew they had a little bit of a fear there, but it was fine. I think it was Canoptic Court, so they had a Cryptek in there, so they were re-rolling full hit rolls on an objective. And I'm pretty sure out of the 20 shots, I think like 9 of them were 6s. And it was not the best unit to take it. And I forget exactly what it was, but I think it was like a standard Space Marine squad. He happened to roll too many 1s and 2s, and I'm pretty sure I killed there was like 6 Stern Guard or something like that. And it was like, this just happens. It just happens.
Yeah.
My Corn Lord of Skulls rolled a 6 on Deadly Demise, and half of my army is dead.
Oh yeah,
because like D6+2 explosion or whatever it is.
Yeah, and you always remember the bad ones. That's the other thing, because you always remember the bad ones and think that, I'm super unlucky with all this stuff happening. There are always good rolls in there. I always find though with my good rolls always happen when they don't need to. My Tech Marine, my wonderfully painted Tech Marine that I didn't paint, all against a Tyrannofex over 2 turns, 4 shots from a Tyrannofex, he tanked all of them, and then died to Termagants. My my Centurions will tank like just anything big at them, but they all die to stubber fire. Whenever I play Stephen His Knights, it's just the big cannons do nothing. Stubbers, both ways as well. My stubbers against him, his stubbers against mine, they're the things that kill. It's not the big cannons, just more stubbers. I can't make a 2-up save to save my life, but a 5-up save, not a problem.
It's honestly one of the reasons why, for a while, I ran a guard list that was like 6 chimeras full of catechins. And so it was kind of like a jail list where, because I think at the time, 6 chimeras with a 10-man squad of catechins was like 720 points for all of that.
Yeah.
And I think now it's like 800, but even then, that's cheap.
Yeah.
And so with like Scout 6 on all of them.
Yeah.
And so if I got first turn, I would just ram this up and I would play combined arms. And so it doesn't necessarily matter like, oh, it's a bunch of random crap from a chimera, but guess what? It's lethals against vehicles. And so 6 chimeras firing 2 heavy bolters, a multi-laser array, a heavy stubber, and a hunter killer missile times 6 at knights with only a 3-up save. Like I was doing like 15 wounds to a knight by just firing at it with chimeras. And then after that, if it's like a paladin or whatever, you just ram the chimera into their face, and it becomes quite enjoyable with just having enough dice.
Yeah, weight of dice. dice is I think that's the thing. I think weight of dice is the king because the variance gets removed at that point. Like you're going to get something through eventually. Like if they have to make 52 up saves, they're gonna fail a few of them, and then that's how you get through. But if you have one las cannon, every step of that process is a point of failure, and especially against someone like, I mean, Catans are a big one with that, right? Like trying to shoot, I think, shooting my entire 6-man Centurions at Catan, Shard of the Deceiver, doing 1 wound that gets healed, and going, yeah, okay, that makes sense, because it's 4 up in Vun, it's then half damage, feel no pain, just getting through all that, when if you just shoot lots of bolters, you can't halve that, eventually you're going to fail some of those 4-ups, and you will eventually get through it. And I think that just works across a lot of things, really. Like, just if you throw enough dice at a problem, the problem goes away.
I mean, you're the hurricane bolter guy too. You understand this more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, enough of those bolters getting sent through just does what it needs to do.
Yeah.
I mean, and also it's actually one of those interesting things that people talked about a lot when the Knights Codex came out, because they had that little in between thing where like, all right, all the Knights are losing a point of toughness, but they're all gaining a couple of wounds, right? And at the end of the day, it was interesting because I think it was actually the right call. I think it made anti-tank weapons better against Knights in a way that felt more fun for the player that was firing the anti-tank weapons. But the Knight player obviously had more wounds.
Yeah.
And anyone who ever like sees Knights on a piece of paper will immediately go, oh, well, I kill this with las cannons. And that's the kind of thing that you do when you don't play much 40k. Because you don't kill Knights with las cannons. You kill Knights with 1,000,000 lethal hits, AP1 ignores cover, with grenades, with tank shock, with mortal wounds. Like you clip out a Knight that way.
Yeah.
You don't actually kill the Knight with like a mass las cannons unless you're running some kind of list that involves it. I guess maybe you might, but
yeah. I mean, even then, like with the las cannons, the problem is, all right, I've got my I've got 2-3 mans of Devastator Centurions at a 6-man. Okay, I'm going to kill that Knight with my 6-man Devastators. Okay, well now another Knight comes and kills them. How do I deal with the other Knights? 2 lots of 3 isn't going to do it. And especially if you've got, either War Dogs or Armigers or whatever, they're going to get in your face, and then they're going to be a problem you've got to deal with. And I don't have anything else that does that. Even with, Oath of the Moment makes, Bolter's Wound on 5, but even then, that's still not enough because there's no AP on that. I don't really have enough small arms in my list, because a lot of that is also melee, which also doesn't help that much, because again, it's, you send Trike and a big blob of jump pack intercessors into a Knight, and the Knight will just stomp them or just walk away, and then you're stuck in the middle of the field. So that is a problem with my list, unless I can get very lucky with las cannon placement. You're right, it is it's hurricane bolters, especially like even the assault Centurions have flamers and bolters. That's 3d6 flamers and then potentially 18 bolter shots, which is a lot of it's no AP, but it's still a lot of stuff, especially if you get +1 to wound with Oath of Moment. It can really add up.
It can, and I think it's actually a really good example of people who kind of theory craft Warhammer versus actually play a lot of Warhammer. The whole no whatever plan survives contact with the enemy type thing. Because I noticed when I was seeing that, I mean, obviously, as mentioned prior, like I think the change to Knights was an intelligent decision. I think the points cost on Knights was not.
No, that. Yeah,
that was a problem. I mean, I get the idea of like, okay, a bit more wounds, a bit less toughness, a few points drops to like kind of even it out, but that was too far.
Yeah, that was
very much too far. But I mean, especially, you've seen the Valor Strike detachment recently, right?
Yeah, I saw that where it's I've seen the stuff where it's turn 1 you can just get everything right up into people's face and just kill the entire enemy deployment zone in just turn 1. Because they have assault weapons or something.
Yeah, the detachment rule is re-roll advances and everything has assault.
Yeah.
What in the world is that?
And they can walk through walls. They just need to toe into a room to be able to see through it. It's like, where do you hide? Unless you just put everything in reserves, and then the entire board is swamped with Knights. What do you do?
It's a very weird thing. Remind me, did you play in 9th or did you start in 10th?
I started in 9th. I didn't play any competitive in 9th, but I did play a few games. I like 10th again because I played 9th, and 9th was cool, but it was there was too many stratagems, too many enhancements, like and this goes down to, again, it's not a Warhammer only problem. If you give people too many choices, people are just gonna wait to find the ones that are good and then just use those. It's an illusion of choice, because it's like, oh, you have all these cool choices, we could try all these different things, but the problem is half of them probably don't do anything, and when you're trying to design that many things, it's impossible to make them all balanced. I really like the way they've done detachments now. especially, you know, for homebrewing as well. It's actually quite nice to have a very structured, you have a rule, 4 enhancements, 6 stratagems. That's really nice and structured and really easy to kind of get your head around. What is easier to get your head around.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting, I'm pretty sure the prevailing theory that everyone states is that 10th plays well. The systems are good. They need some tweaks, but the main issue is that they've lost a lot of that really enjoyable creativity. It's a bit sterilized at times. And at least that's my prevailing theory, because I think it feels weird because I look at the knights, both Chaos and Imperial. I look at the detachments and I look at what they do. And I actually think the writing is a lot better. Like I think the actual how they wrote the Code Chivalric is better. Like the deeds and the qualities. I think it's pretty cool. They found a way to do auras of dread for Chaos Knights to be a lot more interesting, like from a fluff perspective. But then it's just there's a lot of other things where it gets a little bit relatively boring to go along with it. And it's this weird mixture because I always mention to some friends like, yeah, 10th edition can do some really cool, fluffy and powerful stuff. My favorite example is Dark Pax. Yeah. Like Chaos Dark Pax is just, it's so cool. It's such a neat ability. I love it to death. Though I look at like Custodian's Martial Katas, which are just, it's the worst ability I've ever seen. Like it's not like statistically bad. It's just like the most boring thing I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
It's like here, pick sustain, pick lethal, that's it.
Yeah.
And then especially in a world where Eldar have like their agile tokens, which is really fascinating.
Eldar are a confusing one because you get that, but then you also get Aspect Host where they have another token system on top where each one gets a token for their Aspect Host thing, and then it gets. Admech is another one that I think is really cool, but again,
do you?
There's like 3 Admech players in the world, and you know. I'm sure all 3 of them are very happy for me to say that.
Yeah, Richard Siegler turning over in bed right now, being like, "Why are they talking about me?"
Yeah, because I played against. I've got a friend of mine who plays Admech. He's actually a very high level Admech player, and I played him on. Unfortunately, I managed to pair into him on Sunday, and it's the stuff which is like you get a bonus, but you get the bonus if you're close to battle line. I think that is actually it's not. I don't know how it's Admech, but it's a very cool system. It's very interesting, and it's that kind of stuff which, you know, the kind of stuff makes you think, which, you know, some codexes, some detachments just don't have. Like the Vanguard Spearhead one, which it's a cool one. I do like it. You know, it's quite fluffy. -1 to hit if you're being shot at over 12 inches away, and you'll always get the benefits to cover over 12 inches away. The problem is you go against World Eaters, and you go, well, I guess I just don't have a detachment rule this game. Because you're not going to shoot me, so that's not very nice.
I feel like that's the thing, though, right? It's this weird combination where you can never truly make an army correctly to its fluff because the fluff encompasses too much. But, you know, if you were to be Raven Guard it's Raven Guard, Vanguard, or whatever it is, you know, you would almost assume that you would want to add an additional bullet point that says, critical wounds have precision.
Yeah.
You know, like, because, you know, these are people bring down tyrants, right? And I'm pretty sure in 9th edition, the Raven Guard had like wasn't it like a reroll wounds or something against characters?
Yeah,
whatever it was.
Melo the Tyrant or something like that? It might be something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. Great name. But it kind of makes a lot of sense in that realm. But if you keep doing that, you start adding up too many things. Because I mean, good God, look at Necrons. Like, Necrons would just win the world.
Yeah.
And so it becomes really difficult. But like, even for Necrons, like reanimation protocols is a fantastic ability. It works exactly how it's supposed to work, and I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But not all of it kind of ends up that way. I actually disagree with you on the Admech thing. I think Admech is not particularly interesting. I think it's written a bit poorly. But I do feel like I would like to see it with better data sheets. Maybe it would like sink into the spot supposed to be if the data sheets were better.
Yeah.
Because the data sheets are anemic.
Yeah. I think for me, I am, again, because I haven't really played that much like competitive stuff. I've been to a few tournaments, and there's still armies I've not played against. Like on Sunday was the first. I have 1,000 Suns of the Drukhari army. I've barely played them in 10th, but I've never played against either of them. On Sunday, I played against 1,000 Suns for the first time. There's still stuff I'm still getting used to, and just I feel like I'm very, you know, kind of Labrador about some things where I'm just like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like the whole, so you get this, but then you get this for being close to battle line. That sounds really cool. Without, you know, having looked deeply into it. Just on the surface, that sounds cool. Like if you look more into it, you probably go, actually, yeah, it's not great. But I still have that kind of like, you know, I guess positive, not like, yeah, it is positive outlook. But it's one of those things where I just think things are cool. Apart from with 1,000 Suns, AP4 bolters are not cool. That's horrifying. I mean, it's really cool. I love the idea. I really like the way that you can roll a third die for your magic to try and bump it up, but maybe take some mortal wounds. But when your opponent seems to only take one mortal wound if they get the doubles, and then they get AP4 bolters or an AP6 melter from those Sekitar robots, you just go, that's a bit... I mean, calm down. You don't need to go that far with your bolters.
Yeah, Thousand Suns... That was that army I fought, the guy that got second place at Palm Springs, and when I was playing against it, I mean, granted, for me it actually wasn't as spooky because it was I was playing GSC, and so my assumption is once my thing is visible, it's going to die instantaneously. But when I was fighting it, I was like, holy, this is hurting bad. Like, oh, Doombolt, ow, owie, owie, Doombolt.
Yeah,
and it kept on happening. But no, at the same time though, I look at the case on this codex. I'll be honest. I thought it was like a really cool codex. I thought it was written very well, despite the fact that I think maybe they should be suffering perils on any doubles that they roll at all ever. Maybe not that.
I do like the choice. I think it's interesting because obviously if you get, I think it happens if you get like a double 3, and it's like, okay, well I'm going to get the basic one, but I'm pretty close to getting the upgraded one. But I'm going to take mortal wounds for it. I like that as a choice. I think because if you got the double 3, it's like, well, I'm taking mortal wounds anyway. I might as well roll the extra die. I guess it's one of those things where by locking it behind that third dice or the third die, you do get to play a little bit casier, maybe.
Maybe I misspoke. I think maybe more of the lines of like the old school perils.
Oh, well, it's like double 1s or double 6s, isn't it? The old school one.
Yeah, like double 1s or double 6s. But if you push it, then it's any doubles, and you can be like, all right, there's your choice. Because you are right. I feel like he took one mortal wound and he pushed it all the time.
Yeah, because there's also there's the weird stuff you can do as well, where because my opponent was playing the Rubricae Phalanx, I think it's called. I can't remember what it's called. The Scarab Occult and Rubric one, where you can redeploy your Scarab Occults or and you get the
is it Grey Knight detachment ability, basically the redeploy thing?
Yeah. It was I think it's called the Rubricae Phalanx or something. But it was with that there's a stratagem that allows you to shoot back if a Psyker model dies. So what you can do is if you have like a 10 block of Scarab Occults, you can just have the leader get killed, and then you suddenly have every other Scarab Occult Terminator be able to shoot back at like maximum power, which is ridiculous. Obviously, you lose the account.
How do you lose the character?
Well, you lose the Scarab Occult Sergeant essentially is a Psyker. So what you can do
it's a Psyker model.
So if you have a Terminator Sorcerer in that same unit, you can lose the Scarab Occult Sergeant, which is a Psyker model, be able to do the shoot back, and then you still have a Psyker model in that unit for your other things anyway. So there's a choice to sacrifice your Scarab Occult psychic power to get this massive like return fire stratagem. I think it's something like that. I'll have to double check it now, but it's something where if you can just basically choose to eliminate your Sergeant to get a massive fire back, and then the benefits you have for having a Psyker in the unit continue with your actual character Psyker.
That is kind of shenanigans, I won't lie.
It's very cheeky, but obviously the issue with that and what I managed to do was just get Shrike in there and just precision out his character. And then he has nothing. Let's see what it is. Revenge of the Rubricae. So your opponent's shoot phase, just after a Thousand Suns Psyker model in your army is destroyed, one Rubricae unit within 6 inches of that can shoot back. I have to shoot the thing that killed the Psyker model. So for example, it could be a Zangor Shaman nearby, but because it's Psyker model, the Scarab Occult Sorcerer within the unit, the Sergeant within the unit, counts as Psychic as the model, and you can then do it that way. So it's a weird one, but it's one of those ones where you can do it, but then you do lose because it's the Scarab Occults have. That's the other thing. Yeah, that's the thing that is really weird. Scarab Occult Terminators have -1 to wound on them when there's a Psyker in there, just all the time.
Oh, a Psyker in general.
Yes. So you can have a Terminator Sorcerer join them, get rid of your Sergeant. You still have a Psyker, so you still have the -1 to be wounded, which is
that's bad. Okay, interesting. So it's not what it used to be, where it's like if a character is leading this kind of thing.
Yeah, because the character themselves gives lethals, I think. Yeah, it is just, well, this unit contains one or more Psyker models.
Oh, fascinating.
And the other thing with this one is it's -1 to wound at all times. Like Terminators are usually the -1 to wound if the strength is higher than toughness. So this was just -1 to wound all the time, which is crazy good.
Yeah, no, that's very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, and his list had 2 blocks of 10 Scarab Cults, so that was not good to chew through.
I think we're actually supposed to be getting a data slate soon, are we not?
Yeah, so I think people were expecting it. Well, people were expecting it last week. Basically, anytime, every 3 months, every week, people expect the data slate. I don't know when it's going to be. I heard it was going to be either today or tomorrow. It might be next week at this point, but whenever it is, yeah, I think I don't know what's going to be in there. I don't know if you have any thoughts about what should change.
That's a good question. I mean, obviously there are some washes. Like Imperial Knights might. Well, no, they got an emergency patch. I don't know if the new Codex supersedes that or not. This is a very weird spot. I feel as if they had some kind of production delay because it's very weird seeing the difference that arrive between the two things.
Yeah.
I thought there was a rumor that the old, what is it, that the new Knight model mold was broken, but I feel like that's the rumor every time there's a delay. So I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, there was a bat
however,
in one of the warehouses that caused a bit of a kerfuffle for a little while. Don't know if you heard about that.
There was a what now?
A bat.
Like a physical bat?
A physical animal bat was just in one of the warehouses, and they couldn't get it out, and that shut down production for a while, or something like that. There was some sort of bat just flapping around in Nottingham that was causing problems. That probably wasn't the reason for the big delay, but that did cause some issues. It was on the news in the UK because UK is kind of boring, and that's the kind of things we care about.
Well, hey, listen, man, I'll take that news over the news we got here in the States anytime.
Cut that.
But no, the I'm assuming it's because the bat had like it was a possible contamination of like the molds or whatever.
Yeah, bat stops March of Warhammer development.
Really?
Yeah. The flying animal has been found on site of a planned car. Oh, it was for a car park. That's fine.
Oh, that's not.
That's not that
no
bad.
bad.
I guess they were knocking something down for a car park.
But all right. Well, no, I mean, regardless, I know that came out a while back, but I was a little bit surprised to see that the Chaos Knight Codex came out so much after.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've already had an emergency patch for Chaos Imperial and Death Guard. I'm assuming that we will be using the emergency patched variant for the Imperial Knight points and not the new Codex points.
Yes,
that's at least my assumption. Past that, I imagine there'll be a couple points increases on good old Thousand Suns. I feel like Host of Ascension Genestealer Cults is going to get hit. I don't know if it should, but I must admit it was very bizarre sending in a 20-man squad of neophytes with a Primus, and then through the use of like one stratagem, killing Mortarion.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, are you familiar with that combo?
No, I'm very unfamiliar with Genestealer Cults entirely. I always from 9th edition, when I looked at 9th edition's Genestealer Cult Codex, because they had like 3 army rules, because they had like Crossfire and the Marker Ambush and something else. I just went, this is too much for my small brain. Like, there's too many little models here. Why use many little model when one big model do well? I'm very much on that. I'm at that level of play. So yeah, I'm not sure about much Genestealer Cult combos.
So Genestealer Cult Host of Ascension is the big one. Final Day is also good, but it's a little different. So the way it works is that Host of Ascension makes it so that it's all about redeploying, or not redeploying. It's all about the damage you do on the coming in turn.
Yes.
And so their rule is when they come in, they get sustained hits 1 and ignores cover until the end of your fight phase. And that's a really big distinction because that means it works on rapid ingress because it's my fight phase.
Right.
So it also means it works not just for shooting, but also for melee because you get sustained hits until the end of your fight phase. The ignores cover doesn't matter, but the melee does.
Yep.
And so 20 neophytes has like about 12 or whatever auto guns, and then you have these like 2 seismic cannons, which I think are 6 2 shots, rapid fire 2, 6-1d3, and then you probably have Webbers, which are flamers with like shitty flamers with dev wounds, and then you've got 2 mining lasers, and then probably 2 grenade launchers, and then a bunch of like auto guns, right?
Yeah.
The Primus is the character that gives you full rerolls to hit for the squad.
Yep.
And you also have a stratagem for a 5-up crit.
Oh.
In addition to that, you also the Primus also will have a what's it called? A enhancement that gives him conferring lethal hits to the squad, and you can fire the mortar indirect weapon of an Achilles Ridge Runner on something, and that gives you +1 AP against it.
Oh.
So what it ends up being is Mortarion's in the middle of the battlefield. This happened at PSO. And in the middle of the battlefield, the whole squad drops down, and then they get all of their guns 5-up sustained, 5-up lethal, full rerolls to hit, ignores cover, +1 AP.
And how many points is that?
It's not cheap, but it's like I think the combo of the Neophyte's character and enhancement is like 210. And then the Ridge Runner is like 85, but it's, you know, that thing's in the back holding objective and firing the mortar, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then the one CP strat, the 5-up. So yeah, they drop down, and like even your dinky little, you know, 20 shots of auto guns are hitting with AP1 ignores cover, sustained lethal, you know? Like at that point, I was taking off like 10 wounds of a knight with just auto guns.
Yeah.
Not to mention the rest.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's whenever I see something that can do lethal and sustained, it's just horrifying. Like,
it's the worst.
I sometimes feel like you shouldn't be allowed to have more than one on a thing, just because that combo is it can bump stuff up so much, right? I think Knights can do it as well, or Chaos Knight.
It's about 330 points for the combo. Plus a stratagem. That being said, Genestealer Cults has the most annoying stratagem I've ever seen in my entire life, which is if once you are shot, after the unit has finished shooting, go back and reserves immediately.
Yeah, that is
so.
It's got to be the whole unit.
Yeah, the whole unit. And because you do all your damage when you come back down, so people were like looking at my 20 blob of GSC and they're staring at them and saying, okay, well, I can't even like kill this squad with stubber fire. Like I have to send a full unit into it.
Yeah.
The chip damage doesn't work against it. And so it's it's quite the power. And that's, you know, one. I have a second unit.
Yeah,
it's not the same, but it's like it's a little different. It doesn't have the reroll hits, but it has like the same crit and the usual.
Yeah, and then of course you kill it. You can pay your points to bring it back again if you want to, right? Because it's going to be, I don't know how many points it is.
Yes,
the resurgence points. I don't know if you would. I guess you might use it on something else, but it is an option.
It is an option. You would not get the character back though.
No,
and the character confers the lethal and the full rerolls, and those are pretty important.
Yeah, so you wouldn't get everything, but it's still a, you know, not the worst thing to bring back in the world. It's annoying.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I remember playing it when with Imperial Guard. Sorry, Guard players, I'm gonna complain about you again. But
that Guard's my favorite army, so you get ready for this one.
Yeah, back when because they changed reinforcements to be able to only happen once per game. Chewing through a Krieg squad that had it's like the medic and something else in it. Chewing through that only to have the whole thing come back again is nightmarish. Like, even though I can deal with hordes pretty well, because the thing with Devastated Centurions is people obviously think about the las cannons. The missiles are the thing that's the scary part. They are D3 shots each with blast, strength 9, -2 AP, D3 damage. So when if you're firing it, it's like the big 20 squad of the Neophytes. It's 63 plus 24, strength 9, -2, D3 damage rockets. It's a lot. And then, you know, if you're on an objective, that's full hit rerolls. If you're at the moment, I don't need the +1 to wound because you're probably wounding on 2s against Neophytes anyway. But full hit rerolls. It's a lot of damage from that. Even then, when you chew through something like that and it just comes back, it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize there were D3 shots.
Yeah, so yeah, the missiles are D3 shots, which is. So that can spike hard.
Yeah, that can get pretty nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, Centurions are so funny because like I'm just looking at the Centurions profile and then I'm staring at my Necron Doomsday Arc with my like strength 18 AP 4 flat damage 4 gun, and I'm just kind of giggling to myself because I'm just like imagining the absolute terror that Centurions can do against an unprepared opponent, and then watching someone with that list roll up to like Hypercrypt.
Oh yeah, I did that.
And then it's like, oh dear. Oh, did you?
Yeah. First time I played it, it was actually I think it was the first tournament I went to, which was at the Tabletop Tactics place. It was a 4 Catan list, and they had a Doomsday Arc, and that you know, I shot at that Deceiver, didn't do anything. Didn't realize the Doomsday Arc was damage 4, so it killed half of my 3-man squad, but then it instantly died to the remaining 3, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah, and damage 4 is very scary. If I can get rid of the damage 4, it's a lot nicer. Like the Lion has damage 4 on his melee, which is just horrifying. So any damage 4, I try to avoid it immediately.
Yeah, but then they're playing the Lion.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's too bad on their own side of things.
I mean, to be fair, one of the players because in one of the tournaments I played against, Dark Angels twice in a row, the first Lion just ate me alive. It has fights first, and because it's a Primarch and it has the monster keyword, I thought, oh, I'll get my my Assault Centurions in there. They get sustained hits too against monsters. No, they got eaten alive. The second game, he towed the Lion out slightly too far. I instantly deleted it turn 1. So swings and roundabouts. I think the Lion is. I think he's a cool unit. Again, it's one of those ones where I think probably against it's one of those ones like we were saying where against a inexperienced opponent, something like the Lion or against something like loads of Centurions can do work. But if you know how to deal with it, it's not scary. If you don't know how to deal with it, it's very scary. It's the Shaco of Warhammer, right, from League of Legends, where if you know how to deal with a Shaco, you're fine. If you don't, he's going to run rampant.
That is true. I mean, I will say also him having a 3-up invul is just very nasty.
Oh,
because the 4-up invul can be its own thing. With a 3-up invul,
oh yeah.
I mean, you can just kind of keep that. It just handles. Also, yeah, the fights first is rough. That is pretty rough, because just having that ability to sit on an objective, not to mention that he has lone op if he's within infantry and all that.
Yeah.
That is true. I don't know. I've always seen him, and I've always been like, oh, it's the Lion. Here's like D3 charge impact mortals. Here's a grenade, and then like, all right, now here's like 45 attacks at like strength 4 AP 1. You know, and then he just kind of falls over because he can't really handle that. But I
guess it's interesting, is like, because differences between local clubs or whatever. I do wonder what the differences are between, because we have a lot of obviously shared experience, but I do wonder what it would be like to trade places. How different would a SoCal tournament feel? How different would it feel for you to come to like the tournaments I do in Winchester? Like, even not even in terms of even just like the players who are there, but the kinds of lists you see, the terrain you see, what people are playing, what people find scary, what people don't. Because I know there's a lot of differences between, like, when you look at some results for competitive stuff, you see a lot of differences between US and UK tournaments. Some of that is because of terrain, some of that is because of what people value, and if the meta is different in one place, obviously things that counter that are going to be more prominent, and that comes down to a lot of different things.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I saw the places over the Tabletop Tactics guys, and I saw the terrain, and the terrain is gorgeous. It looks really, really good, but it's, in my personal opinion, I don't think it's super well suited for the current game state. There's a lot of firing lanes. Lot of big firing lanes. And so I actually think it looks really good, but it will kind of have a bit of that issue where you'll run up to one of those games with your, I don't know, whatever list it might be, and then kind of look there and be like, oh, well, like this is lost to deployment kind of thing, which can be a bit of a feels bad, man. Down here, obviously, we follow like the usual ITCs, the GW layouts, whatever the layouts are. And they tend to be pretty balanced. I've taken a multitude of lists, but I am a little curious myself. I feel like your Centurion list would catch a lot of people off guard here, but it would not be abnormal. I've seen some wacky lists.
Oh yeah,
down here, some really weird stuff, and particularly, I don't know, people just like have a theme they really enjoy, and they tend to take that theme and they tend to like optimize the theme.
Yeah.
So I'll see some guy roll up with a good list where he's like, I just really like wraiths, and so he will bring 18 wraiths with technomancers and the like, and that is a nightmare.
Oh, they're horrible. Yeah, I've got a friend of mine he took that actually on Sunday. I think it was. Might have been two big blobs of wraiths, and they are horrible to chew through.
Oh, they're awful. But I mean, like, it's the difference between like, hey, this guy loves canoptic stuff, and so he's not gonna be going crazy. He's not gonna be like, I'm taking 18 wraiths and max spiders and max scarabs. He still has a good list.
Yeah.
But he has a theme for it. I mean, even myself, I tend to like to take really weird stuff. My GST list was a lot more optimized, but before that, I would take like sisters a lot, for example. In my sisters lists, I would run max battle sister squads, and I would run like Hall of Martyrs and stuff, and I would run a bunch of like big blobs of infantry and like what's the sacrosancts with hospitalers. And I would, with Hall of Martyrs, it was really fun to me because 10 battle sisters are in a sense squishy. They're T3 1 wound, but they have that 3-up save, which makes things really weird because they don't really die to stubbers because of that 3-up save, but then they certainly don't die to las cannons and stuff. So you need like a lot of strength 6 AP2 1 damage type stuff, and people just aren't building for that.
Yeah, there's nothing so again, when you have something that has a weird profile, Centurions are one of those weird profiles because they're T7, which is a weird breakpoint because a lot of the big weapons are like strength 12. They're 4 wounds and a lot of things are either like D3 or 3 wounds, or 3 damage, sorry, and that means you're losing out a bit there.
Not to mention you have cover and like minus 1 to hit.
Plus cover, plus minus 1 hit. There are 2-up save with no invuln, so you can get high AP through there, but if you're shooting from far away, again, they take that down pretty well. And then they have the 4-inch move, which is just absurd. It's so
absolutely terrible.
Ridiculous. Which is, I honestly, like, Centurions just don't... There's no point in walking a Centurion. That's why I play Vanguard Spearhead, is because you just teleport them, or charge them with the assaults. The amount of high roll charges I get with them is insane, but that's the fastest they ever move. If you have something, like you say with the Sisters, which has a weird stat line that is not typically countered by standardish weapons, you can catch people off guard. And I think people say about meta chasing, whatever, but you can build your own list pretty smartly without really meta chasing. Like, my 18 Centurion list has started to get more and more optimized as I've played it more to kind of work out what the weaknesses are. And that's a really fun challenge to do. Like, I'm sure there are probably going to be loads of problems I have with actually the way I play the game. I probably don't deploy very well. I probably don't make the right decisions all the time. But even just trying to make that work is so interesting. And I think a lot of people may worry if they're not into the competitive, or if they want to go to a competitive, that they're just going to run into meta chasers. But I think most people are probably doing something like that. They find the things they like, and then they just try and make that work. And by doing that, you generally will find yourself going to the same things. Like, I think most people will get to the same conclusion. Like, jump pack intercessors are pretty good, so I will put more of them in the list. Or infiltrators aren't bad, I should probably have some. And then you slowly work out where how far you want to go with that. Like, for me, it's if I don't have 18 Centurions, the list doesn't work. I'm not playing Screaming Ravens, so I've got to have that 18 Centurions. What can I work with the other half of my army? Because that is like 960 points. So basically, like, half my army is this. What can I do with the other half to make that work? And that's one of the things I really enjoy about Warhammer and going to the competitive place, because I don't have to then worry about, setting up a fair terrain. I don't have to worry about making sure there's a fair mission. That's all sorted for me. I can just focus on my list, my game, and try and work out the best way to utilize it. And sometimes it won't work. Sometimes it will just be a problem of maybe you shouldn't have half your list being one unit. But sometimes it works and it's all right.
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, it's about somewhere between 1,300 to 1,500 points of your list are the things that you want. And then the rest of it's like tech pieces. All right, let's get my infiltrators for the back line. We'll take that damn combi weapon lieutenant because he's insanely good.
Oh yeah.
And we'll just kind of like roll along with that one and then make it a usable list. I mean, especially like, and also sometimes you catch people off guard with that because they just, as you said, they're just not prepared. For me, the Sisters one, like Hall of Martyrs, normally they can't kill all 10 Sisters from the squad because of the weird breakpoints, but they can probably kill like 5 to 7, or maybe even 7 to 8. But then when you're playing Hall of Martyrs, you're like, oh, that's unfortunate. But here are my last 2 Sisters in the squad that have a Melta gun and a multi-Melta. And also, by the way, they're +1 to hit and wound now. And I have Miracle Dice. Yep. Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because then this tiny little battle-shocked Sister squad walks out of the wall, goes to a knight and says, well, I'm winning you on 4s and I'm hitting on 3s, and it's like 3 shots because there's one melted gun. Oh, I sunk a Dyson. Cool. Here's a 6. Here's 8 damage.
Yeah.
And it gets very funny. And I tend to tell people, like, my favorite thing whenever it comes to a tournament is making someone sweat. Just like, there's always that moment where they see my list, they look at what I got, and they think, this should be fine. And then end of battle round 2, they're kind of looking at the board state, and they're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And that for me is just, I don't know, it's magnificent. It makes me very excited, very happy. It makes me laugh a lot. And even if I lose, it still has that same feeling of like, all right, we really pulled something out of here. It's pretty good.
Yeah. On Sunday, I won one. I won my first game and I lost the next 2, but even my losses were higher points than what I normally have. And I was like, okay, I didn't get really like shut out completely like I have been before. It actually went pretty well. Even if you are taking some of those tech pieces, like, you kind of have to know how to use them. Like the Combi Lieutenant you mentioned, I have it in my list because I know it's good and I have used it to some success, but then I kind of don't use it properly all the time. Like, it does one thing at the start and I go, haha, I've done my cheeky little trick. And then it kind of just sits there and then will fall over at some point. I go, I probably didn't use that right. I could probably have utilized it more. Or a unit that I think a lot of people get scared by is I have 6 Blade Guard with a Judicia, and the Judicia has the Blade Driven Deep, which gives him Infiltrate. So there's an 6 Blade Guard with Infiltrate, just setting up shop somewhere with fights first, but then a good player like the Thousand Suns player goes, okay, well, I'm just going to send something little over there, and then you can come out and get them if you want, and you kind of have to take the objective, but then they're kind of just in the open. When if I play them a bit better, I can actually get more out of them. So even those kind of, again, not a Warhammer only problem. People who follow the meta may not actually know what it does. Like, I could pick, if I played against someone like Archon Skari, who's, best Drukhari player in the world, and we swapped list, and I had like his amazing whatever Drukhari list, and I gave him my Centurion list. He'd probably stomp me because I don't know how to use his list properly. Like, there's part of that where just because something is meta, like most people who chase the meta kind of are just trying to get an easy way out, when realistically, you've got to actually play it and then work out how it works, or look up how it works and actually then get some time with it. And I think that's why even if you see a list, you should never you should never react based on the list, right? Because it could be so you can look at a list like you were saying, people look at your sister's list and they go, oh, I could take that sister's list, but then you should probably be aware that maybe that person knows what they're doing with this weird list, or they look at me and they go, that's a weird list, and then I don't know what I'm doing, which is fine. But hopefully the big block of Centurions puts a little bit of fear in there. But on the flip side, obviously, if you look at a list that's super meta, you might not have to be that scared of it, because the person might have just copied it from the internet, but they don't know how it works, and then suddenly they're making loads of mistakes that you can just capitalize on. Then they wonder why it doesn't work.
Yeah, and that comes with practice, right?
Exactly.
That comes with just making sure you know what you're doing, getting it sent through properly, making sure getting reps with a list, I think, is something that people often forget. I see the same thing with the Magic community too. Like they have this like theory crafted list, like, oh, this is so good. They play one game and it doesn't go very well, and they're like, damn, this list sucks. I'm like, no, man, this is a card game. You're drawing cards.
Yeah.
You had your opening hand had one land in it. This is no one's fault but your own.
Yeah. I guess I don't know how, because I guess I don't know how. I've played like Magic very briefly once. I kind of understand a little bit, but I don't know how long does a game of Magic generally last, I suppose. Is it?
Depends on the bracket and depends on the people you're playing with. Normally, the better the decks, the shorter the game. But sometimes, I've had a Magic game go like 2 hours long.
All right.
Because which is abnormal. That is abnormal. But sometimes it'll happen because someone just. There are some Magic players out there, and I'm pointing at you. Someone had to cast a goddamn farewell. Someone had to put farewell. They had to extend the game an hour, and they had to play farewell. And so something that just happens. But most of the time, I'd say like, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Because with getting reps in with a game of 40k, each game lasts 3 hours, right?
Yeah,
you got to get quite a lot of those in. It's one of those ones, I think, with like with my Centurion list, I try not to make too many changes because I don't play often, but I don't want to go to a tournament and go, I won one, lost two, let's change something, because 3 games is not enough of a sample size. But again, that's 9 hours worth of data to gather from. You got to get a lot more than that to get some good thinking in there. I guess with Magic it's a little bit less, but even so, it's still, you got to play a lot of games to get good with it. Going in with one game going, that didn't work, I don't like it anymore, doesn't work. But also there's so much other things around games like Magic and Warhammer where, especially in tournaments, game 3 of a Warhammer tournament, your brain goes, and for me, my knees go. You can't take a game 3 is going to be different to a game 1 because of the way your brain is just tired. You have to get a lot of practice in various situations, right, and against various lists, which just takes a lot of time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will say, like, for me, whenever I play Sisters, by the end of the day, I have a raging headache. I drink my water, I eat my food, I'm healthy with it, but I think it's just the overwhelming amount of thinking, because Sisters, it's very complicated playing Sisters. Lots of moving parts, lots of rules, lots of the miracle dice thing, and keeping track of it, and it takes a lot. Where when I go to a tournament, ironically, the games I have the easiest time with is when I play Guard. Guard is my Zen army. Guard is my, all right, here's 120 Cadians and like 6 Leman Russes, a bunch of Chimeras, a couple Walkers, some Bolgrin, and like not a Valkyrie anymore, but it used to be a Valkyrie with Scions. All right, let's, I'm pounding 2 shots of Crown Royal, and let's do it. I'll look at Angron and I'll be like, how many attacks does he have? 18? 20 Cadians. All right, sick. Go get him. Go get him, boys. And it feels good because it just feels relaxing.
Yeah.
To just be like, yeah, my Chimera's done its job. That's an enemy Gladiator Lancer. All right, 9-inch charge, why not? I'll give it a roll. Very often, and I think it's actually something that people should do a little bit more often, because there's a phrase, right? Like, if you're winning, reduce variables. If you're losing, increase variables. You do more risky plays when you're losing.
Yeah.
And it's actually one of the things I noticed, where sometimes I play a game and the enemy has, like, they're screened out really well. They're doing these kinds of stuff that makes things really difficult. And then sometimes I'll move up a squad of like 20 guardsmen or something, and there'll be an enemy way on the other side by this objective, and it's like a crappy enemy. It's like maybe like a combi lieutenant, right? And it's like a 10-inch charge. And sometimes I'll move them up just to stage them, But then I'll look at that and I'll say, hey, you know what? Like, why not? And I'll just throw a 10-inch charge out there, and sometimes I'll get it.
Yep.
And when I do, you know, that now their dude is locked up. I'm in their grill. They got to deal with that. I probably pull them off of their objectives. They lost 5 points, and just sometimes just making sure you do that feels really good. There are so many games where I've just been like, all right, I got to do it. I got to do my go turn. And so I'll deep strike 3 units in and say, statistically, I make one of these 9-inch charges, and then sometimes I make 2, and then the whole game changes.
Oh yeah, I think that's the thing with the dice, is the fact that you can just you can tip a game out of nowhere. I had that. There was like one, I think it was Southern Super Major again. There was one enemy who was playing Blood Angels. They had one jump back intercessor 12 inches away from one of my repulsors, and I went, I mean, there's no reason not to try. And I rolled double 6 and just tank shocked it. And I was like, well, I've got rid of that unit, which I think I had no prisoners or something, which was useful. And now I've got my repulsor 12 inches closer to where it would have been, in a much better position. And I think it was the same turn I also rolled an 11-inch charge on my Assault Centurions into his Ballistas. So suddenly I'm right up in there. I still lost the game, but it was one of those ones where by doing that and taking that risk, you actually put yourself in a much better position. I played against people who have really thought about, you know, the averages. Like, okay, on average I'll do this, on average I'll do that, which is a good thing to do. But then sometimes I will start to think about it and just go, I'm taking too long. I'm just going to do it. I feel like if I take too long making a decision, I just have to either make it or don't make it. Because if you overthink something and you start to really spiral into that kind of thought line, you just have to go, no, there is a time limit. And at the end of the day, everything's a 50-50 chance, right? It either works or it doesn't. So flip the coin and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said why I like guards so much. Sometimes I look at an enemy unit I didn't finish off. I look at the Rogel Dorn I just shot at it, and I look at my CP and I got 2, and I'm like, you know what? That enemy unit has like 3 wounds left. I need to kill it for whatever it is. How far am I? 10 inches. All right, Rogel Dorn, get in there. And then sometimes I do, and when I do, tank shock, and then I get it done. And then I mean, if you've ever experienced the sheer unrelenting suffering of being overwatched by a combined arms Rogel Dorn, where everything gets lethal on an enemy vehicle or monster. There's an old joke that we always, me and the guard folks like to make, which is whenever someone has they're just like, is this still the Dorn after like the 9th gun that's been firing at you?
Guard have a lot of guns on their tanks.
They have a lot of guns.
Like
on
going
their
down the
tanks.
list, it's like we got this, and then they got the stubborns, they got the melters, and there's this and there's that. It's like, are you sure? And then you look at it, you go, oh no, you do have that many weapons. All right, I guess I'll be. It's 9th edition psychic phase, and I'm Drukar, and you're playing the Thousand Suns. All right, I'll wait the hour for you to go through your Rogel Dorns.
I mean, the Rogel Dorn, I love that tank. It's great, but it is oppressive, much like its cannon. It's a great time, but just having that does feel good, you know. I want to do a little bit more with I want to do more with Gar. I need to get them fully painted up. Some of the tabletop Titans guys actually are doing a little bit of a commission for my guard, and I'm really happy about it. So I might keep that rolling. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's just, it's kind of one of the reasons why I think the more tournaments you play, the more you start to ease into a much more zen feeling when it comes to a lot of the games. It's very much a situation where you're just kind of there, you're relaxing, and you've seen it all. You've dealt with a lot, right? And because of that, you can just kind of go up to a table against an army that should stomp you. And then in your mind, you think, well, this is a win-win scenario. If I lose, I had a good game because I was relaxed and I knew it was going to happen anyway. And if I win, holy shit, I won. Yeah.
I think my aim for every game is just to put the fear of God into people about Centurions. That's all I want. Even if I win or lose, if I lose and I come away from the game, they go, those Centurions are scary. I'm like, I've done my job. You're now scared of Centurions. The person I played first, I'd played before on the game on Sunday. He was telling me how when he was writing lists, he was subconsciously only writing lists to counter me. He was like, hang on, I've just made a list to counter Centurions again. I'm not going to be playing against it for a while. So he had to rewrite his list again. It's one of those things where it's like, as long as people fear the Centurions, I'm happy. As long as people understand, you know, what they can do, and you know, you didn't move. You've towed Dante's 6-man Sangre Guard. You didn't move. You charged a bit. Didn't charge enough. He's not quite in the ruin. They're gone. I've teleported them. I've deleted them. And just having that ability to just go, I'm going to drop the mega death on you, and you're going to get deleted. Even if I lose, as long as they get that fear, I'm happy.
I fully agree with that. It actually, in an interesting kind of note, I have been kind of looking into making myself a Deathwatch army recently, because I think it's an elite army that is morally that people seem to realize, but also in a very fun way. They're very unique. They're very different and kind of weird. And have you fought Deathwatch since their like update?
I haven't. I don't think I've ever fought Deathwatch. I think it's one of the ones. Because Deathwatch are weird, because whenever I look at Deathwatch, I always go, oh, let's see what Deathwatch do. And I look at their kill teams or whatever, and I go, I don't understand what's going on. You can have all of this different stuff. I'm going back to Centurions. This is too complicated. I'm a very simple person, as you probably understand. Like, when I see things that just look a little bit too complicated, I go, I'm never going to be able to get my head around this, especially in a game. Like, it probably isn't that bad. Again, Genestealer Cults is one I always find complicated, but it's probably not that bad to do, but it gets to a point where I'm just
I mean...
Yeah.
Kill teams are pretty simple. I mean, basically, it's like, all right, what kind of power armor do you have? Make a squad of the various types of kits that go in that. Like, oh, this is the Gravis armor squad. So you can have aggressors, eradicators, and heavy intercessors in this one. This is the flying squad. It's inceptors and jump pack intercessors. This is the stealth squad. It's infiltrators and cursors and reavers, right? But for the main point, all their stuff is just better.
Yeah.
In a million ways. But I mean, sometimes you look at the various things that you can do with that squad, and you look at what the kind of power they have, and it just becomes enjoyable. Because I look at like for example, the Fortis kill team, which is the Fortis is like the Primaris one, the Indomitor kill team.
Right.
They're the Gravis ones. And so you look at the kind of thing, and it kind of gives you the ability to get everything that you want. So you have all the multi-meltas, or the melta rifles, and one multi-melta from the Eradicators. You have your 3 aggressors with their flamers or whatever. And then you have your 4 heavy intercessors. But the Deathwatch heavy bolt rifle is just flat out better. It's 2 shots at 5.22, but it automatically has lethals. But then, you know, they also get the heavy bolter, which is 5.23. That has lethal hits and sustained hits, but it specifically states that for every 5 models in this unit, you can have a Deathwatch heavy bolter. So you have a bunch of aggressors, a bunch of eradicators, and 4 heavy intercessors, but 2 of them have the heavy bolter, and then, you know, you have your special ammos, like this ammo lets you ignore cover, this ammo gives you anti-infantry 2 up, and just stuff like that. And so, but the 10 Gravis units is 10 models for 270 points. Like, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But it's mainly just like knowing the guns you have. And also it's knowing that they have some absolutely astronomically good stratagems, particularly the one that lets you pick 2 kill team units and redeploy them at the end of the opponent's fight phase. And so, you know, just taking 2 10-man Gravis dudes with all those guns and teleporting them for 1 CP every single turn. It's good. It's very good.
Yeah.
And also, I just kind of like Deathwatch. It's actually probably one of my favorite parts of the Space Marine 2 game was that opening.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it was a really neat idea. Plus, it was also a really like smart way to do, you know, Titus from Space Marine 1 to Space Marine 2 is put him into Deathwatch.
Yeah.
And also, I think there's just a lot of personality there because you get to have moments of like, here, the Dark Angel dude is gonna have to start arguing with a Space Wolf.
Yeah.
And the personalities just clash, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of fun. That adds a lot to it.
I do like that. I do like the way the Deathwatch work, being from all the different chapters. And I like the idea of those kill teams because I like, you know, having all those different things in there, and you can kind of specialize them because you kind of shift things back and forth. But then, yeah, I think for me, trying to work out like when it gets to shoot, because I guess the way I think of it is like if I have aggressors with flamers, for example, I know what they do. They do the flamey thing. But if I then have to have them sitting next to something that will be targeting something else, like suddenly I'm trying to pick the right target for several different units at once, if that makes sense, which is how I kind of see it in my brain. But it's probably not as complicated as I'm making out to be, because I guess the things you want to fire heavy flamers at, you're probably fine firing your heavy bolters at as well.
Most likely, yeah. I mean, I guess the only weird one would be like, oh, the bolters and stuff are probably not going the same spot that the meltas are, but that's only every so often.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like their army rule is basically, you know, Gladius, where you pick one of 3 things.
Yeah.
The difference is that their one of 3 things is either sustain hits 1 for the battle round, lethal hits for the battle round, or precision on lethal hits. And precision on critical hits. And like from that point, you know, you're basically giving your entire army lethal sustained in pretty much everywhere you are.
Yeah.
So it adds quite the power. And it's fun. I don't know. It's a fun army. I think it's something I want to try out more. Plus, the Terminators, for some reason, the 5-man Deathwatch Terminator squad gets 3 Cyclone missile launchers. It's literally like five Terminators in Deathwatch get a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield for 2 of them, and then the other 3 get cyclone missiles and a stormbolter and a power fist. And so like you just kind of launch yourself down there, and you're like, all right, here's 6 shots at 9.2d6, or 6d6 shots at 401 for the frag blast one. And you kind of look at that like, god damn, why do they get that?
Hey, where's my version?
I mean, they're 190 points for 5, so it's not that cheap, but it's kind of goofy. I don't know. It's a good time.
I think that's the thing. I think there's a lot of armies that I'd like to try. Again, it's just time to try them all. And it's one of those ones where like I'm really happy with the army I'm playing. I'd love to try other armies, but I do like seeing other armies. So if I ever played a Deathwatch, I'd be like, that's really cool. Like I say, when I played the Admech guy, I was like, I like that. That's a cool idea. I just kind of just like seeing cool ideas, even if it doesn't make full sense to me. Again, Eldari Aspect Host is one of those where I'm like, this seems really cool. You got all this cool stuff. A lot going on. I probably wouldn't be able to, get my head around it myself, but I do like seeing all those different things. And yeah, like Deathwatch do sound like an interesting one. Because I think they are with all of those like kill teams, all those kind of upgrades, they are fairly significantly different from Space Marines, and then other like Dark Angels have your Deathwing Knights, and Blood Angels have like the Sanguinary Guard, but they're still fairly understandable in terms of the Sanguinary Guard are just chonky Vanguard vets essentially with better hits, and Deathwing Terminators are just chonkier Terminators. I mean, there's probably more to it, but you kind of get your head around it. And then when you get the Deathwatch, and this is a squad of various different things that you get from the normal Codex, and also they're slightly better, and also they could do all these other weird things. And I like that as just a concept, and I like to, I like seeing those things happen.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun concept. And I think at the end of the day, everything should be just this fun idea you get to make, right? And also, I probably plan, because I don't really have a fully fledged Space Marine army right now, I'm probably going to plan to make my Deathwatch army this like kind of customized thing. Yeah. But then in doing so, make all of my Space Marine models in a similar vein to that Deathwatch style. So I ever want to play, Blood Angels, I'll just have like a very Inquisition-y looking Sangard.
Yeah,
which is fine. But man, is there anything else you really want to touch on? I realized we just kind of yapped for an hour and change.
Yeah, I honestly had no plan. I was just going to let's just talk until we run out of talk. I guess,
dude, if we're gonna run out of talk, we're gonna be here for a good another 2 hours.
I was gonna say that was the thing. Like, there's got to be. So the only thing I guess the only other question I would ask to get your opinion on is the current challenger cards, because. So I have only, because of various commitments, I've only just had a chance to use them and see them. This is like on Sunday was the first time I used them, and they came up in every game, as in like someone had to use them, but they didn't change the outcome. But from speaking to people at that event, it does sound like in closer games they do change the outcome. And the ones I was getting was stuff just like, have a unit that's far away from the enemies, 3 points. Okay. Kill a model with two different units from your army. Okay. Kill a single unit, 3 points. None of them seemed difficult. But in the games I was playing, it was the point where, it wasn't just a 6 points difference. It was a big difference in terms of, it was a big enough difference that 3 points wasn't going to matter that much. But I can see how in a different game that would become a bit more annoying. I'd like to hear, I'd hear your opinion on it and what your experience is.
Yeah, so they did Challenger cards when I was at PSO, the Palm Springs tournament. And I think it's weird because Warhammer it's a dice game, right? But it's a game of thresholds. And it's one of the things that people forget when they math stuff out is like, doesn't necessarily matter unless you are able to fully deal with it. Like killing a knight down to 1 wound is substantially different than killing a knight, because even with if they're bracketed, they still have a full firepower on display. Yep. And so it becomes a real difficulty. One thing that I think is really interesting with the challenger cards is, you're right. I think they're really easy to accomplish, but I don't really mind that because the points are a bit middling. Maybe they need to be a little tougher, but for the most part, I'd say that it's whatever. They're fine on that one. What I don't love is the stratagems and stuff that they kind of confer. I kind of wish it would be something a little bit more fun. I think Warhammer needs to add a bit more variance, and I would like the ability to add like weighted variance back to the game in a way of a bit of randomness. Like, I think, isn't there a challenger card that basically just says like you get to advance and charge a unit?
Yeah, I know there's definitely one which allows you to fall back, shoot, and charge.
Right, and like that right there, pulling that card could be, because it's thresholds, right? Like that can be game changing, extremely game changing. I'm imagining that with a unit. I mean, hell, with Centurions.
Yeah, that's why the new Raven Guard version is just so amazing, is that I get that now. That's the one
Yeah.
biggest weakness that I have.
And I mean, at the same time, like now you can do it on 2 units, for example. I mean, if I could fall back, shoot, and charge with like a Rogel Dorn, oh my god, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things like that where I think, oh, you know, this game, the 3 points would have been one thing, but me now being able to do this with a Dorn is going to do so much more than 3 points worth of power. You know, firing a full Dorn and then charging something else if I need to tank shock it or whatever is so much better than 3 points.
Yeah.
And so I think it's weighted poorly. I just would like them to take a little bit of Sigmar stuff from it. Like I think, isn't there like a funny ability with Nagash where when you're next to someone, you get to like flip a coin. If you win the flip, that unit just dies.
Yeah, I think you can pick a character and you put a dice in one hand, and if you pick the dice, and then you show them to your opponent. If they pick the one without the dice in, I think they die. It's a coin flip. It's literally like a 50-50 chance to just kill a character.
See, I love that because it's actually one thing that Magic does a lot is they do weird things like that. They have coin flips and like D20 rolls. I would really like some kind of style like that where I don't know, like a challenger card is supposed to be a desperation, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the Gambit system, but redefined. And I would kind of enjoy the idea of it being a bit more of a Gambit. Example, right? Challenger card. Roll instead of like this crazy stratagem. Roll 3 dice, or whatever it might be. Whatever numbers those dice land on correspond to the objectives on the battlefield, and then any unit on that objective takes like D3 mortals.
Yeah, I think I think that's very similar to Spearhead, but I think some of the Spearhead ones are like the twist cards are if you are the person who's currently behind, if one of the objectives heals you, like that kind of stuff.
Right, like things like that, right? It just where I think it needs to be more fun and weird that way. Because I can totally see that. I can totally see like, oh, hey, here's the twist card. For every single objective that you own, heal a model. For every single objective that your opponent owns, have them roll a d6 on a 4-up. They take damage on a 1 through 3. They also heal a model.
Yeah.
And it just could be kind of fun because I would like a little bit more weird in it.
Yeah.
Because weird is fun.
Yeah, I think the challenger card stratagems, there's nothing new in there, is there? Because it's like advantage charge, fall back, shoot and charge. You can walk through walls, I think is one of them. And
I feel like every detachment has a go through walls nowadays.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure every single one has it. It feels very samey.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite things with Age of Sigmar is the Gargant Suplex. The Gargants,
the what now?
The Gargant Suplex. The Gargants are the knight versions of Age of Sigmar, the big giants. When they charge, they can pick something up and move them. So you could charge into like a monster, and then you can put them anywhere else in engagement range of you. So you essentially charge in and suplex a monster.
That is
awesome.
Extremely sick.
Like that's so cool. I want to see more stuff like that. When I was I'm trying to design a Screaming Raven supplement that like in my own detachments and stuff. And I tried to come up with a way of having a stratagem which was essentially Poppy from League of Legends' wall stun. So it's basically you make a charge, and for every amount of charge over, for every amount that you charge over that, so you get into base to base, for every extra inch you have, you can push that unit you charge back, and if you hit a wall, you do mortal wounds or something. But trying to word that and trying to get that to work in 40k doesn't work. But I love the idea of doing more stuff with moving your enemy and shifting things around, like the Gargant Suplex. It feels like there isn't a lot of that, or because I think Age of Sigmar you can destroy the terrain. Obviously in 40k that's a very different thing because destroying the terrain in Age of Sigmar range isn't as much. If you could destroy a big L-shaped ruin and suddenly have a giant line of sight, that's a bit rubbish. Things like that I would love to see. Like even just like being able to push a wall.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm always terrified with anything that involves movement. Just because that's how you get arguments, right?
Yeah, especially because if you need to move your opponent's models, then that becomes very problematic.
Well. Yeah, that becomes a whole issue because then it's like, okay, well they move this direction, like no, they move this direction, and then it becomes a whole thing.
Yeah.
Now I actually like the engagement range one because you basically can just pick exactly where you want them to be, but they have to be stuck to your unit because it's engagement range for the suplex.
Yeah.
So that one's much easier.
Yeah.
Much easier. But I also movement things tend to work a lot better, I think, with hex-based games.
Yeah.
You know, far more with those because it's obvious where they're going and stuff. But I do agree. Like the dice in the hands thing, I think is really funny. I think just the variance is interesting because every time you see a new detachment come out, they always have some kind of here's your advance and charge strat, here's your fallback and shoot strat, here's your go through walls strat. It's like in a sense, I feel like every detachment only gets 3 actually interesting stratagems. Especially unless it's like a particular thing. Like, for example, the Tyranid subterranean assault one, very cool, very neat idea on that one. A lot more interest there.
Yeah.
But I do feel like a lot of the Votann, and maybe this is Germany's fault, they do like their hard rules, is just like everything's very like clean and precise with Votann, which I guess is kind of a Votann thing though. They are like corporate overlord dwarves in a sense, but
I like seeing it when stratagems take the detachment rule into account to give or take away benefits. So, like the Reaper's Wager for Drukhari, where you have either the Harlequins.
Oh, it's one of the
or
best attachment rules ever. I
love
that one.
But then all of these stratagems are like, if you're currently winning the wager, you get this. If you're losing the wager, you get that. Even if they are the same thing, even if it is just a advance and charge, or you can walk through wall, having just that variance there, or the librarian one, where it's like, if you're in this librarian thing, you get this extra bonus. If you're in this librarian thing, you get that extra bonus. Like having the stratagems work around your rule just looks really cool. Because I actually look when all the Grotmus detachments came out, I did a bit of data gathering, and yeah, you're right. So many of them have essentially the exact same stratagems, just in different orientations, or they're affected by different things or different keywords, and that's fine. And I think that's actually okay to have very like, you know, this is the advance and charge strat, but I'd like the idea of it being based around the detachment's keyword or rule, like the Reaper's Wager, like the Librarian one, where you are playing around with a cool detachment. And I think the Votann thing, where it's like now if they get enough judgment tokens or whatever, and they turn into 2 different two different modes, then you can and you can spend them and go into the other mode. I don't know how I've not played against Votann with that new rule yet, but I don't know how it's been implemented. But I like the idea of being able to play around with that then affects your stratagems, and that I think is when again Reaper's Wager being the really, really cool idea. That is the kind of stuff I'd like to see more of.
Yeah, I think it's just the big, like, do you remember the Zinchian one, the scintillating
Legion? The one where you can like
give dice back and forth.
Yeah, I love that idea.
It's so much fun. I gotta be honest. I don't think maybe there's like a 70-30 relationship, maybe even 80-20. It's mostly on the Games Workshop side because I think they need to experiment more. But I am blaming the players a little bit because you know, like when you think about the Scintillating Legion ability, you kind of get it. Here's a reroll for these things. When you're done with it, give it to the other person, and then give it back. But you need like 3 paragraphs to explain that.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna find every little specificity with every single interaction, and they get really annoying about it. But that rule, great stuff. Love that stuff. And just like that, having those things, I think just it adds a lot, and I want more of that. Like when Necrons came out, they had Star Shatter, right? And to me, Star Shatter is just really boring. It's +1 to hit if the opponent's on objective marker, and Necron vehicles and mounted have assault.
Right.
And every single thing in their list is something related to, like, here's the reactive move, here's the make reanimation out of turn, here is the -1 to wound if strength is higher, here is the flat 6 advance, here is the move through walls. I'm literally naming them all off now. Like, it's very dull. But so just kind of I don't know, that kind of bits where I don't know. I think they need to get a little spice in it again.
Yeah, I think they need to. It's one of those things. I think because the problem will be when they experiment and they make something silly, and then people get their claws in it, and then it gets taken to tournaments and people start hating it. That's the problem. I think there needs to be like you know how the twist deck now isn't used in tournaments. They need to have some like detachments that are basically like, these aren't tournament like detachments. These are some silly detachments, and having some of them would be a lot of fun. Things that will affect, like I said, the Scintillating Legion being able to pass back and forth. I had an idea for a unit for the Screaming Ravens, a custom one, which was essentially, it was an aura that gave a huge amount of buffs to everyone, whether it's you or your opponent. And it's just one of those things.
That's what Scarbrand used to do, man.
Cool stuff like that would be awesome. And I mean, they don't have to go as silly as they did. Although this is my favorite rule they've ever made. I've never played Age of Sigmar first edition, and I know that's a bit of a sore spot, I think, for some Age of Sigmar players. But my favorite rule they ever made was that as Skaven, if you roll 2d6 and get 13, you win the game.
I remember that.
And it's just
I remember being told about that.
I love that rule because it's so like, having that there is just so funny, and I love that. And they don't need to be that silly. Like, that is very, very silly. But being a little bit more, I think if they made detachments, if let's say Grotmus comes around again and they do detachments, and they basically came out and said, look, these are not tournament legal. They will be banned in our tournament companion, and then just make some absolutely silly shit. I think that would be really cool to just let a designer go hog wild, so they don't have to write the 1000th you get 6-inch advance and don't have to roll for advance. You can, picking up and going into reserves is a very common one. Getting lethal hits and sustain hits is common, that kind of thing. Like, just give them a chance to do something funny without the worry of people using that. And again, it's one of those things, like, people will use it as tournaments, and people are never, even when I played against the Mordaka, like, it was a stupid, ridiculously overpowered detachment, but no one was ever like, haha, fuck you, I'm using this, you're an idiot. But people were always like, yeah, it's dumb, but it works, and no one was ever nasty about it. So just being able to not have that possible thing happen at tournaments, and just be able to make something silly for people to try out would be great, I think.
I think it's also, you can just experiment with a lot more of these strange kind of more esoteric options. Like, I think to myself of I remember I did a little detachment creation with the Paulhammer podcast once, and I had orcs as my list, and one of the ideas I had was with boys, and it was kind of like a psyker based detachment, and so there was like a Wa energy type thing with the boys, and the idea was like one CP strat, give every model in this boys unit deadly demise 1, and then if they're a 20 man or something, give them all deadly demise 1, or like +1 to the roll or whatever it is. And so it was just this concept where, like, okay, here's 20 boys and they're about to get hit by something really bad that's probably gonna wipe the whole squad. They're all going to explode because they're psyker charged and their heads are gonna go pop.
Yeah.
And it's a very orky thing, right? I think I even specifically wrote that deadly demise affects the unit itself as well. So if one orc exploded and did 1 mortal, it would kill one of the orcs in the same unit that would then maybe explode with another roll, and so on. Yeah, and chain reaction. And like, because that would be a fun rule, because you could really use it to your advantage, and it's your choice when to use it, but you can also hurt yourself quite badly, or your units around you, depending on the rolls.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's just like, I just think about like things like coin flips and stuff, and like that thing you mentioned before about like which hand is it in.
Yeah.
I don't know, like the idea of being like, all right, we're doing the Sky of Falling Stars or something from a Catan on your unit. Give your opponent a coin. Keep flipping the coin until it lands on heads. For every tails flip, the unit takes like a mortal wound.
Yeah.
And it can create this hilarious situation where, one, the opponent's doing it, so like it's kind of more in their hands. But there's the moment where it's like, okay, nothing happens, or you could genuinely get like 8 tails in a row.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hype.
Yeah, I think more stuff like that where, just more silly things. More weird. I think that's the thing. And I think it's fine. Because I think the thing with 10th at the moment is it's very nice.
Sterilized.
It's sterilized. It's standardized. And I don't mind that. Because if you're playing, again, if you're playing a long tournament, sometimes you do want things to just, if you were going into a tournament, everything could do, you were being handed coins and tokens and, which hand is the dice in which pocket has my keys, it'd get a bit much. So I think it's fine to be, have a fairly standardized, sterilized rule set to keep things from going over the top, but also like they've done with the twist deck, because I really like the twist deck. I like that it, obviously, because in competitive it would be ridiculous, but stuff like 3d6 charges, everything is a pistol, you can only shoot outside of 18, stuff like that is really fun. I kind of want to play a game where you draw from the twist deck every round, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and sillier as it goes through. But that stuff kind of shows they are looking at doing silly things, and I'd love them to have a silly detachment, like a way, not so much legend, I guess it's kind of a legends thing, like a legends detachment, or a way to make it so something that says this probably isn't going to work in a tournament and we're not going to really look at balancing it. Here's something silly, like orcs' heads explode constantly.
See, I actually think you can do the which pocket are my keys in type thing. Not like literally, but
yeah.
Because in that it takes place of rolls.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe sometimes it'll be that way, but like for example, I don't think you need to do play Simon Says at the start of every detachment or at the start of every battle round or whatever. But I wouldn't say that have opponent flip a coin or pick the hand would actually add much to the timer.
No.
I mean, as opposed to, because normally you're probably rolling like here's this amount of dice for this amount of stuff and whatever it is. It would add a little bit, but I don't know. I wouldn't say too much. So
I guess I was thinking more if there were lots of different things, and every time you played a game, there was you would get overwhelmed with lots. But every so often if it was pick a hand, that's not so bad. I was thinking if there was so many city attachments that everything had this weird, you had to bring so much paraphernalia with you just in case you go up against Emperor's Children, and they have a thing where if they yell loud enough, so you need a decibel meter to make sure that you could yell loud enough to. But it's very, I think Age of Sigmar First Edition was very much like that, where it was you get a bonus to the roll if you can. Say tally ho the best or something like that. There was some really over the top silly things. I don't think it needs to be that far, but you are right. What's the real difference between a 4-up and a coin flip? Statistically, nothing, right? Yeah,
you when the Emperor's Children player, all right, you get plus this much strength for every line of coke you snort off the table.
Exactly,
before rolling your noise marines.
Yeah, if you're playing Death Guard, the amount of people who are repulsed by your actual body odor, you get a bonus to the roll. There's limits to how far you can go with it.
Yeah. If you drop trow and take a shit on the table, you win the game automatically. That's the Death Guard rule.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, you probably would. Because I think your opponent would because I don't know if you saw the video I made, which is how to win a tournament, and
I did not, not that one. No.
The conclusion is bring a gun. Because if you want to win, I mean, the best way to do it is, I think one other thing is that it was a line of sight. The way line of sight works is it's from the line of sight between your opponent's model and your model. So if you pepper spray them, there's no line of sight because they can't see. And then I said, just threaten them with a gun, and then you win because they're going to concede.
Yeah. Well, see, that's too strong though, Paul. Shitting on the table will only work for only 2 of the 6 rounds because there's no way you're shitting again the next time unless you're grabbing like a large Greg's coffee.
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta the shit gambit is only gonna work once or twice, depending on how.
Mortarion's Gambit. All right, you know what, Paul? I must admit, I think this is a good time to call it.
Yeah.
I gotta head up for some lunch sometime soon, but I must admit, man, after Mortarion shit Gambit, this seems like a pretty good finalizer.
Yeah, I think the title, Paul and Bricky discussed the Mortarion shit Gambit. I mean, the title probably wouldn't go on YouTube very well, but it's certainly any further we might escalate beyond the
terms of service.
Yeah, yeah, it's if you play Tzeentch, you just gotta absolutely completely screw up the mind of your opponent. That's the only way you win. And it's just
no. For Tzeentch, it's you have to it's like a Always Sunny in Philadelphia thing where every time you can lie about all of your rules, but every time they catch you on the lie, you lose a victory point.
Tzeentch, you've already won. You just have to convince your opponent that it's true.
Yes. The score is already written, and then the best gambit is you actually input it into BCP before the game is even over.
Yeah.
All right.
I've already won. All right, I'll let you go. Yeah, because I appreciate it's gone lunchtime, so I'll let you go. But it's a lot of fun.
No, dude, it's an absolute blast. Thank you for inviting me, man.
No worries. I will if we want to do this again at some point, I'm sure I'll be happy if you want to have another chat about stuff. We can discuss all the Chaos Gods and their weird gambits. But
this would actually go for a fantastic episode with the Paulhammer guys. We should all decide on the silliest Nagash style rule.
Mm-hmm.
That would go great. I'll talk to Brad and Eric. We'll see what's up.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I guess before you go, I say, do you want to plug your stuff? But I mean, I think everyone who watches me probably knows who you are, but go ahead and plug your stuff.
That's not true. I'll plug my stuff anyway, but that's not true. There are people who have no idea who the hell I am.
Well, to those people.
But okay, to those people, I guess. At Bricky, at Bricky, I make video. I don't know, man. I just make video.
I think as YouTuber, we all make video. I think that is true. That's what we do.
We do all make video. I make video. Sometimes Warhammer, sometimes video games, sometimes other video game. I don't know. Mostly video game. Yep. Warhammer sometime.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No,
buy the merch.
Yeah, buy merch. Buy now. Go. No, yeah. Thanks very much for the chat. Had a really good time, and yeah, go get some lunch.
I gotta grab some quick lunch. Thanks, man. I appreciate it a ton.
Yeah, no
you have a good rest of your day, and best of days to the audience. Thank you.
I really didn't have any sort of planned intro. I don't know if to either do it in post or be like, hello or whatever, because I've not done this kind of interviewee podcast thing before. I kind of want to call it the Paulhammer podcast, but also I don't know if that's going to be, it's taking a bit too close to a I guess competing podcast.
I mean, the Paulhammer podcast got started because they watched my videos. So
so if they've got a problem with me calling it the Paulhammer podcast, you gotta, they can speak to you.